Autumn, 1775. King George III is having the kind of week where your favorite colonies suddenly decide they don't like you anymore. Reports pile up on his desk. Rebellion here, rebellion there, and zero appreciation for the protection he believes he's generously giving them. Some folks in Britain whisper sympathy for the colonists, but many others now see them exactly as the king describes: mischievous troublemakers who forgot who's in charge. So the king gathers his advisors, spreads out maps like he's planning the world's angriest board game, and prepares his next move. Step 1. Hire 18,000 German auxiliaries. Step 2. Assemble 20,000 British troops across Portsmouth, Cork, and beyond. Step 3. Load the largest expeditionary force in British history onto ships. Because soon, the Atlantic won't be big enough to keep this family together. In Philadelphia, the Second Continental Congress is trying very hard to look calm, even though everyone knows the British strike is coming. The question is just where and how dramatic it will be. Washington continues pinning the British inside Boston, supported by Patriot-run committees that micromanage everything from food supplies to neighborhood gossip. Surprisingly effective for a revolution held together with ink, parchment, and very loud opinions. But elsewhere in North America, the British remain in control. Their colonies in the West Indies rely on the British military to protect them from imperial rivals and slave revolts. They will not risk rebellion. Florida's population is small and scattered, more worried by the threat of Spanish invasion than British tyranny. Native American tribes assume a watchful neutrality, although most secretly favor the British, seen as the more useful ally. But American patriots hope that Canada might still come over to their cause. The province of Quebec has only been ruled by the British since 1763. Most of its European population is French and Catholic. They have no love for the British, historically annoyed at Britain. Would join them? Well, no. The Quebec Act has restored their rights, and suddenly London doesn't look so bad. When Congress sends its heartfelt invitations to revolution, the Canadians politely, very politely, ignore them. At the moment, only 800 British redcoats defend Canada. Sounds promising, except Congress knows Britain will reinforce the region soon. And if they do, those northern forests and rivers may become the perfect staging ground for a full-scale invasion of the 13 colonies. The clock is ticking, and the revolution is about to get much, much louder. Congress finally snaps. If the British are going to invade from Canada eventually, why not beat them to it? Preferably before winter, smallpox, or committee paperwork kills the army first. So Congress proudly announces a bold mission: liberate the oppressed Canadians. A noble goal, except their so-called Northern Army around Ticonderoga is less an army and more a collection of half-trained, half-healthy, and half-present soldiers. Luckily, they have one thing going for them: General Richard Montgomery, Irish, talented, and the only adult in the room. In September 1775, Montgomery marches on Fort Saint-Jean, the gateway to Canada. With heavy guns dragged all the way from Ticonderoga, he pounds the fort for 6 long weeks until it finally gives in. The road to Canada opens, and half his men immediately disappear thanks to desertion and disease. But there's hope. Charging toward him through endless forests, swamps, and pure misery is Benedict Arnold, who somehow convinced Washington to give him 2,000 men. Turns out Arnold's shortcut to Quebec is more like a survival horror game. Rivers flood, food rots, men quit, and Arnold writes home like a betrayed traveler, leaving a furious 1-star review. Still, against all odds, early December brings a miracle. Arnold limps out of the wilderness and links up with Montgomery outside Quebec. And now, with 2 battered forces combined, Congress's risky gamble is about to face its ultimate test. Imagine marching hundreds of miles through snow, mud, sickness, and bad luck, only to discover your grand combined army is just 1,200 half-frozen humans who desperately need soup and sleep. Yet here they stand, staring up at Quebec, a mighty fortress perched above the St. Lawrence River, like it's judging them personally. With 20-foot walls, 114 cannons, and Governor Guy Carleton preparing for a siege like he's trying to win Most Prepared Man of 1775, the odds aren't great. To make matters worse, winter is hitting harder than the British ever could, and hundreds of American enlistments expire in a matter of days, meaning half the army might just go home because their contract says so. So Arnold and Montgomery decide to risk an immediate assault. In the early hours of 31st December, under cover of a blizzard, the Americans attack. But it is a disaster. The assault collapses instantly. Montgomery falls, Arnold is badly wounded, and hundreds of Americans are captured. Nearly 600 survivors are left freezing, starving, and surrounded by smallpox, hundreds of miles from safety. Arnold vows to keep holding position, but without reinforcements, his army is one snowstorm away from disappearing entirely. That winter, Henry Knox, a 25-year-old bookseller from Boston, now a colonel in the Patriot Army, oversees a stunning logistical operation. The movement of 59 heavy guns, some weighing more than 2 tons, across 300 miles of snow, mountains, and frozen rivers, using sleds, oxen, and horses. These are the guns of Fort Ticonderoga, which Knox has promised General Washington he shall have for his siege of Boston, where they may well turn the tide. Knox arrives on the 27th of January, 1776, with all 59 guns not far behind. A jubilant Washington promotes Knox to commander of the artillery. Washington's first instinct is to use the guns to support a direct assault on Boston across the frozen Charles River. But his war council persuades him to adopt a more cautious approach, to fortify Dorchester Heights, from where the guns can threaten the British fleet at anchor. Without the fleet guaranteeing resupply, the British Army will have to evacuate. The preparation begins. Tons of timber, rocks, hay bales, and sheer American stubbornness are hauled to Roxbury under the cover of night. To hide the constant construction noise, Patriot artillery opens fire on Boston every night. The British return double the firepower, probably assuming the rebels have gone completely insane. Then comes Night 3. In the chaos of the bombardment, the Patriots drag 20 enormous guns up Dorchester Heights. By sunrise, 6,000 troops are entrenched behind fortifications that seemingly appeared out of thin air. The British wake up, look at the hill, and collectively scream internally. Howe orders a counterattack. Then snow, hurricane-level winds, and pure New England attitude shut the whole thing down. Starving, sick, and trapped under American guns, Howe decides it's time to go. In exchange for a peaceful exit, the British promise not to burn Boston to the ground. On March 20th, they blow up their last supply base, sail for Halifax, and end nearly 11 months of siege. Across the colonies, news spreads like wildfire. Washington has delivered a victory. A Connecticut paper celebrates wildly, calling the moment inexplicably great.